DJ Bobby here. Had to reshoot that due to a tangent I was talking about. Alright. We are talking about Aurora, Texas, UFO incident. We're talking UFO stuff again, so be prepared. This one is the one that I was searching for in the list. I wanted a list because I wanted to search for this particular UFO story. One of my ex-friends told me about it a long time ago, and he was telling me that it was like one of the first big UFO incident. And they actually have the real article on here. Like, you can actually see it. I love that type of stuff. So I'm gonna read the actual article. It's only like 3 or 4 paragraphs, so it says, Aurora, Texas, April 17th. About 6 o'clock this morning, the early risers of Aurora were astonished at the sudden appearance of an airship. Remember airship from last video? Because that's important. UFOs, apparently, whenever they're reported way back when, I'm just recapping just in case someone doesn't watch the other one. They looked like, hey now, what's my battery at? What's my battery at? Whatever, I'm gonna plug in my laptop. Pretty sure it needs to be plugged in. My screen went black for some random reason and was not ready for it. Anyways, airships are not like modern reports of UFOs. Way back in the, I guess, 1880s and 1890s, they looked more like Ghibli Studios versions of like flying things, I guess. Like Ghibli's, I think Ghibli had some sort of interest in mystery airships, or maybe his dad did, and he told him stories, or someone in his family or something, because they're remarkably similar in terms of like the creativity of the function of the ships, because they say that these old, like way back when, these airships were like more like flying dirigibles with like multiple propellers that could like maneuver all sorts of weird ways, and it's very creative, like the Studio Ghibli flying mechanics or flying machinery. There we go. That's right. That's the right word. Flying machinery. So that's why I keep relating to it. It's the most thing that I've like. I just make connections. That's kind of like, I see things and I'm like, these things are like, especially if you go back and actually click on the last link to go to the Wikipedia page about the mystery airships. I'll include it in here too, I guess, but because I'm ranting about it so much. But if you go over there, they actually have a early illustration of one. It's pretty small. It's like only yay big, but it looks like something out of Studio Ghibli's. Very akin to it. Like not exact. It's just very imaginative um, flying machinery. That's all. That's why I'm linking them. But anyways, getting back to it. All right. Uh, where was I? Sudden appearance of the. All right. Early risers of Aurora were astonished at the sudden appearance of the airship which had been sailing through the country. I wanted to explain airships because, they're different from UFOs. They're more like dirigible type stuff, but more advanced than we had at that time. So it's kind of like there's a progression of technology here too. Like, it makes sense. Like, it makes sense that this could actually be a legit thing. Like, mystery airships are basically, predecessors to UFOs, and over time, whoever were flying these ships got better at making technology and whatnot. So, it's interesting to hear people's reports of what they've witnessed on these mystery airships, because they're very similar to what people say they've witnessed on UFOs. I mean, some people say that they've seen like human-like people on UFOs. Others say that they're not so human and stuff like that. So it makes sense, but yeah. Which had been sailing through the country. It was traveling due north and much nearer to the Earth than ever before. Evidently, some of the machinery was out of order for it, making a speed of only 10 or 12 miles per hour and gradually settling towards the Earth. It sailed directly over the public square, and then it suddenly reached the north part of town and collided with a tower of Judge Protector's windmill and went to pieces with a terrific explosion, shattering debris all over acres of ground, wrecking the windmill and water tank and destroying the judge's flower garden. The pilot of the ship is supposedly had been only on had been the only one on board, and while his remains are badly disfigured, enough of the original was picked up to show that he was not an inhabitant of this world. Mr. T.J. Weems, the United States service officer at this place and authority on astronomy, gives his opinion that he was a naive. He gives his opinion that he was a native of the planet Mars. The papers found on this person evidently the records of his travels, AM written, and
written in a record of his travels and written in some unknown hieroglyphs and cannot be deciphered. The ship was too badly wrecked to form any conclusion as to its construction or mode of power. It was built of unknown metal, resembling somewhat a mixture of aluminum and silver, and it must have weighed several tons. The town was full of people today who are viewing the wreck and gathering specimens of strange metal from the debris. The pilot's funeral will take place at noon tomorrow. S.E. Hayden is that's who wrote this article. This seems way more legit than I actually heard before. Like my friend told me about it, but reading this article is way more legitimate. Like that's a smoking gun in my opinion. Like if you ever needed a smoking gun, that's one. So here we go. But it doesn't stop from this article. So, MOFON, if you know who they are, I think it's FU, or I'm sorry, it's MUFON, MOFON. It's an acronym for some UFO organization. They covered this case back in the 70s, and they went to the so they went to the supposed burial site of where the pilot of the ship was, and they ran a metal detector over it, and wanted to, like, they detected metals of a strange, like some sort of strange metal underneath the earth right there. And they were wondering if they could, exhume the gravesite or whatever, so they could, get the metal. And they weren't allowed to do that. And then years later, whenever they did receive authority to, or clearance or whatever, to go and dig up that spot, there was nothing found. No body, no metal, no nothing. I'm just telling you this part from my recollection. So that small newspaper article really gave me the real story though. Like that sounds really real. My ex-friend never mentioned anything about mystery airships. I was oblivious to those, and up until this point, mystery airships are pretty much another smoking gun, in my opinion, on UFOs. Like, people have been seeing, weird stuff in the skies for a long time now, it seems like, and our governments just continue to deny, and what are we here to do? I mean, I'm not trying to be, spread the truth. Government sucks. They do suck, but I mean, like, I'm not really here on that agenda. I'm just here learning stuff that people don't care about, apparently. Like, odd things that people don't care or don't really want to talk about or just think are not real. Like, this stuff seems to be actually real. It seems to be actually well documented. Like, most of the stuff that I've been talking about actually has been well documented in some way or another. So, and that's really why I'm, you know, making specifically UFO videos is try to get the stigma, or I hate stigma as a word, to get like the stupidness, like to get everyone to start, you know, thinking more rationally about UFOs because there's a lot of evidence that they actually exist.